So let's start this. 3, 2, 1. Law and Disorder coming at you from the local game store here in Richardson, Texas. You got me. You got Miss Caitlin here.
Hey, guys.
And you got Jason Zimmermann.
Hello. Thank you, Sergio and Caitlin, for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
thank you for being here. Real quick before we get going, let's say thank you to our sponsors. Young Ideas Get Dish, Ace Remodeling, East Texas Championship Wrestling, and obviously the local game store. And so Jason's here. He's got a project he wants to talk to us about today.
Sure.
Jason, a very interesting project, I might add.
It's actually not the first one like it. It's the second one that we've had like this, where we just took a whole cast of people, threw them together, and got things done, quote unquote, in a day's work. So back in end of November, around Thanksgiving time, we discussed the idea of putting together for Christmas, because we have a whole lot of sitcom series that we wanted to get done in 2019, but some funding never happened, so we had to put that on hold for now. And we had a whole bunch of actors who were counting on us to get things done, and I promised them they'd have something this year. So we got together and we discussed the idea of let's make a Christmas movie. And this was around Thanksgiving, maybe even a little bit after Thanksgiving. And we put out an email to every actor who we are associated with, and just said, hey, here's a calendar. If you want to do anything on any of these days, just fill in green on a Google Drive calendar. And we had several dozen get back and interested.
And they're like, hey, let's do this. So I'm looking at this timeline here.
Yeah.
So November 10th, 22nd, 2019. Yeah, around Thanksgiving.
Around Thanksgiving. A week before, yeah.
Assessing actor interest. So that's when you guys just send out an email.
Yes.
It's like, hey, we're thinking of doing this project.
Right.
And I'm sure all these actors are thinking, okay, so like next year, like next Christmas?
Possibly.
That's probably what they were thinking at first.
Possibly, and reasonably, if they were.
And,
sure.
So then at that point, did they know it was for this year?
If I was clear, then they did know. If
Okay.
I was unclear, it's possible that they may have thought I meant next year.
Like maybe he just forgot to put a 2020.
Maybe he fat fingered that day, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that there may have been some questions. I don't even remember, honestly. There may have been some questions. Do you mean for this year or for next year? And I just reassured them that it was for this year. And I also said it might be the worst idea I've ever had. So.
Yeah, because, I'm sitting here looking at this timeline, December 3rd, which is 11 days after you got interest from people.
Right.
The writers meet and they learn what actors they're going to be writing for.
Correct.
The next day, the 4th, the script writing begins.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, the next 4 days, the 4th through the 8th, we're sending out the first draft of the scripts to the actors.
Right.
It's like speed dating.
It was like
Yes.
speed dating. Yeah, that's a very good analogy. Yeah, certainly.
And then the 8th through the 14th, here's your script revisions.
Yeah.
And or it even says or given to them on set.
Yes. Yeah, and there were a couple of scenes that were written on set and given to the actors right then and there.
So they literally some of them showed up on the 14th. And granted, today is the 22nd.
Yeah.
So they showed up on the 14th, and some of them didn't have their revised part until then.
Correct, yes. At that point, everybody had something. Whether or not they were going to perform as written was a whole other story. But they were cautioned that going into it, there will be revisions between now, December 5th, or whatever date that was, and up until shooting day, that there will be revisions, if not something entirely new.
Okay. Okay.
Right, yeah. So,
But then I'm looking at filming day, December 14th, 2019. Filming day, call time 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Crew departs Sunday, December 15th at 6 a.m.
Correct.
So hold on. So there were people there from the 15th or the 14th all the way until the 15th?
absolutely, yeah. There was actually that young family that they were actually mother and daughter that were sitting in their chair, and they just woke up and they discussed, are we homeless? Are we going to lose our teeth?
Yes.
That scene was actually written about an hour before they got it, and they were one of the last to leave. So they probably left around 4 o'clock in the morning.
They probably really did think they were living there.
They probably did, yeah.
I probably actually would have fallen asleep.
And
That one kid was falling asleep.
right. They were both kids were asleep. I'm not sure if mom was or not, and they were also probably the youngest kids we had on set. And just getting some of the writing techniques that were used, we had 5 different writers. Mm-hmm. So when you have different writers, you have different techniques. And some of the scenes were written very structurally, where you can break up scenes and know what scenes to omit in the interest of time. There were other scripts that were 8-page scenes that were very hard to break up. And as I was thumbing through their characters, I didn't really see where we can get them isolated and have them have their own important scene. So while they were waiting, I had Cameron, who is one of the other directors and writers, do his scenes. Mm-hmm. And while he was doing that, I was writing a scene for them. And here you go. We didn't have a printer, so they didn't even get a printout, and much less my phone died during this process, so I couldn't tether onto Wi-Fi, and I just brought my computer to them and said, "Here's your scene." And Mom, Jennifer Daly, actually takes out her phone and starts taking pictures of it, so I can take my computer back. and she's showing the scene to her kids on her smartphone.
She's like writing it down and like giving it to the kids.
Yeah, whatever they had to do. So this is by hook or by crook for everybody. Everybody really found a way to get this done.
So I'm looking still at the schedule.
Yeah.
You filmed the 14th through the 15th, and then on the 15th, preliminary editing begins. So. Yeah. Did that editor get a chance to sleep between the 14? Like, was he there on set?
He was not.
Okay.
Well, he was on set. He's one of the directors. So he was not editing on set.
But he was on set.
He was on set.
So did he get a chance to sleep somewhere?
So
in
he had
the
like
14th,
a power
15th?
nap
Yeah.
and then woke up and chugged some Monster and got to it.
I gather he found a nap. He's still with us. I think he actually started the process a couple of days later because we had to do some transference with the actual physical footage and getting it to him, which I think took 2 days because our director of photography, Cruz Dominich, he had the footage because he has the camera. And he had another job to do for a feature on Monday and Tuesday. That's the 16th and 17th. So they had to find a seam to get the footage over into Cameron, one of the directors and also the editor.
Yeah, because I'm showing on the 18th that was, I guess, the main film editing began.
Yeah.
And then yesterday on the 21st.
Right.
And I actually was here for this. I was there for this. I was at Dallas Makerspace, and they had all the cast there and crew to watch a cut, I guess a preliminary cut of the film.
It's what you saw.
And it was like, hey, it's here, but it's not ready yet.
Right,
like,
right, yeah.
Give me a few more minutes. It's here, but it's not quite here.
Yeah, it's probably the worst stalling I've ever done. And I don't mean in terms of filling in gaps. I actually didn't stall very well. I didn't have a whole lot to say.
No, actually, was it Savannah, that your assistant, that she had she had everybody playing a game of tell me
about Christmas.
Yes, give me a recollection of your favorite Christmas story.
Yeah.
And she was stalling for Jason.
She was stalling for me.
She did a very good job.
It's not the first time.
And Jason walks in and he's like, I don't even know what I walked into. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, I didn't know. I was bouncing back and forth. I've been getting ping-ponged around for about the last 3 weeks.
So let's fast forward to real time. Last night about 2:45 in the morning, I woke up.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was up. And I had just received an email from him.
Right.
It's like, well, here's the cut. Here's the rough cut of the film.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to sit down and watch it. So I watched it at 3 a.m.-ish.
Yeah.
And, I was impressed with it. I was entertained.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the bottom line. We knew, when we first began this process, we knew that whatever you get, you get. Yes, we worry about quality to an extent, but with the expedience that we're putting this out in, we know that there will be some holes in there and probably a lot of questions also. And we're going to work on answering some of those questions during another shoot tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, because I see that tomorrow on the 23rd. Yeah. Final scenes shot, and then on the 24th, you're going to have the official release? Is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Ish?
Is that...
I don't even see time to edit. I don't even see time to edit here.
Cameron is in Western Texas, not to be confused with West Texas, which is actually a city.
He's in the western
He's in the western portion of Texas, as described to me near Mexico.
Southwest.
Right. So somehow we're going to do a digital file.
Okay.
And he will be able to pull it from some sort of Dropbox or something fancy like that and be able to edit from there.
Man, I've learned from first experience that that's not always a good thing. But
I agree with that. But we're gonna see.
back in the old days when she used to edit some of our videos, it'd take like a day for her to send me something.
Oh my God, it took forever.
I think I'm still waiting on one of those videos.
Actually, we have a movie from last year that everyone's still waiting on. We're stuck in audio hell with that, and it's not any fault of anybody. It was recorded very well, but getting all the ambient sound is where we're kind of having a sticking point with that one. But this one, we have everything that we need right here. And
so, okay, so the 24th-ish is kind of where we're at on this.
I hope it's no later than Christmas Day.
Okay.
I would prefer to have it out at least for that, so that people can say, let's watch what we've done, and have others watch what they've done as well on Christmas Day would be nice.
So after all, right now, the pending name of the film is A Corporate Christmas.
Correct.
So it'd be cool to get it out on Christmas.
That would be
ideal.
desirable. Yeah. We bandied about a few dates with the calendar. I think we had beginning on December 7th would be the earliest possible date, which would only be 3 days after we started this whole process. And the final date was December 15th. And after going through a full assessment of the calendar, we found that December 14th was the most available day. And with some of those cases, we had some actors, especially a few kids, their mom, more so often than their dad. I think there was only one or two dads there. It was mostly moms. They would say, my daughter or my son has a 9 a.m. call time, so if we can kind of wrap his or her scenes up early, that would be desirable. And we accommodate. We want to make sure that they get what they need.
So how large was the cast? Like number-wise? I see a lot
Let's count.
Yeah, and I don't even know if that's all inclusive.
So there may be more.
There may be more. I'm going to say 40. 40 plus.
Okay, because whenever we saw the original email with this list, we were thinking, okay, some of these people are going to have maybe they'll just have a non-speaking role.
Yeah, like extras in the background.
Yeah, but no.
Someone's running the camera, mics. But no, I think all these people were in it.
Yeah, everybody who was there had a speaking role. Now, what was most wrenching to me was there were some actors who just ran out of time and they had to go, so we didn't get them in. But we're going to work on accommodating as many of them as we can tomorrow. But everybody who came in good spirits, and at least externally left in good spirits as well. So
it looked like a good time.
It was.
It looked like they were having fun. You guys filmed it at a church?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually,
or a church hall, I guess.
It was actually a church, and it's also a house. It's a friend of mine, Scott and Tommy Diane Lanier. They bought a church and a house. Their house is actually adjacent to the church, in the same quarters as a church, and which was very fortunate for us. Number one, it gave us a nice, probably I would say 4,000 square foot area to shoot in, and also with the home being right through that door, if people needed to take a break, they can either go lie down on a futon, on a couch.
Oh, yeah.
There were some mattresses there, so it was very comfortable. And even with those amenities at hand, there were some people who just said, I'm going to sleep on the floor.
Now, okay, so and I guess I'm thinking of me.
Yeah.
I think of me having to go film at a church. Does somebody have to sign off on something where, like, hey, you're at a church, you can't say the following words? Like,
yeah, actually, it's funny. We had one of our writers who we were going to meet at Dallas Makerspace, and then from there go to visit the location, that church and their home. And for whatever reason, his script had not yet gotten released to all the actors. So we're talking about probably December 13th or maybe 12th. And so he emailed it to me, and having all the email addresses, I emailed it to everybody else. And then someone mentioned something about being family friendly. And he's like, oh, no, it's supposed to be family friendly? he had a few words in there that maybe parents didn't want their children reading, but we fixed it.
And you probably didn't want to say in a church.
Yeah, actually, I was instructed there are certain things you can't say here. So
were there certain things you couldn't film because it was in a church?
There were some restrictions, yeah, and they were very, very fair and reasonable. It was no alcohol in the sanctuary, which is fine because there's no alcohol on set anyway, and no beverages other than water in the sanctuary because of spillage and things like that. So what we did to the best of our ability was not even have water in there. So we didn't want to risk having anything spilled on or damaged in any way.
So it's like the logic was if Jesus went without water for 40 days in the desert, you can go without water for 40 hours here.
Yeah, it was or 14,
whatever.
whatever it turns out to be.
I like that.
So, obviously, I'm sure you faced a lot of challenges with how short a time frame you had making this film.
Yeah.
What would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced?
The biggest challenge I faced personally was having people wait around, which I knew was going to happen. When you have that many people and we're restricted to one camera, now we did try to get another camera operator, but that camera operator was booked, which is fairly common when you give anywhere from a week to 48 hours.
So you only
notice.
had one camera guy.
One camera guy, and that was Cruz Dominich.
So that guy didn't have a choice but to be there the whole time.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, man.
And no naps. Did you get dinner or lunch?
I skipped dinner purposefully.
Okay, yeah, he didn't even eat. We starved him.
So
So you can add that onto the list of regrets.
He's saying he didn't eat. Did you eat? Did you not eat because you were afraid that if you ate, you would get tired?
No, I usually don't eat when I'm working. I have a hard time. I have to force myself.
Okay. So he says he has to force himself
Yeah.
to eat.
And I
I'm
didn't
the
eat
same
either.
way. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I didn't eat either. So we're on the same boat.
You were actually in the film.
A little bit, yeah.
So-
We had a no-show, and I pinch hit.
Okay. So far you were co-director, co-producer,
Yep.
co-writer,
Yep.
and an actor.
And an actor, yeah.
Am I missing anything?
Yeah. Did you hold a boom or anything that we don't know
No,
about?
I didn't do any crew stuff. No, you know what? I did second AC. I actually did the clapboard for one of Cameron's scene, which was for the scene with the charity. So when I first walked into the sanctuary, they were doing that scene. So there was Cameron doing second AC work, which is the clapboard stuff, calling the shot, and then walking behind the camera and calling action. I think at the time I was actually writing that script for the family with the two young girls, and I walked in. I said, "If you're directing this, I'll just take the clapboard from you, and that way you can just focus on directing the scene." So yeah, I did get to touch some crew equipment.
So you have So you're going to be in all these credits. Like
Yeah,
you
you're
don't
gonna
get
be
just
all
one
over
credit.
that.
You're going to be in multiple.
There may be an alias or two, like Bob Wire.
Oh, gotcha.
No, you need a cooler alias. though.
Yeah, I'll get a cool. I'll run it through a Google search or something.
Huge ass.
Which is actually quite accurate.
Huge ass.
So whose idea was it for this film and
Yeah.
this time frame? Was it yours? Was it somebody else's?
Yeah.
How did this come about?
I pitched it, and I guess everyone, or at least no one, disagreed, and we all went along for the ride together, knowing that this whole entire thing was going to be throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. And again, we ubiquitously knew that what you get is what you get. It may not be the most polished or desirable or even the easiest story to follow, but we wanted to make sure that everyone who's been promised something or who has given something got something back at least by the end of the year. So that was really the motivation behind this whole thing.
Hey, that's a good motivation because some people don't do that. Some people are like, oh, we'll just put it off. That's life. We'll deal with it. You seem like you were very committed to wanting to reward all these people because again,
Absolutely,
there's a large group of people
Yeah.
that were in this film.
Oh, sure.
And they work hard with you all year.
They do.
Hoping for something.
Yeah, I mean, many of them have taken classes with me, or at least auditioned, and they've gotten emails that I would say would be, potentially a little bit not well received because it's another stalling mechanism. While we're waiting on final word for funding that we were promised, I have to explain to them why we're not working yet, and by hook or by crook, I just want to make sure that by the end of 2019. They got something, and in this whole process, at least with the actors who I've spoken to, which is many of them, if not most of them, they seem to be very understanding, and that's something that takes a lot of pressure off of me and us, and is greatly appreciated. So to kick back, we wanted to make sure that they had something to show by the end of the year.
Well, I think that you accomplish that. Obviously, it's the way I see it. Good, bad, or ugly.
Yeah.
It's still a process. It's not something that happens overnight.
Right.
And when you look at the grand scheme of things, there's a whole lot going on here, and there's a ton of scenes.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people, and it's a really short amount of time.
Yeah.
That you have to accomplish all this.
Sure.
That's the one thing when you watch this film, everybody needs to understand is that it literally was done in a day. Not even a
18
full
hours
day.
or so,
Yeah.
maybe 14 hours. I forget what the numbers are, but
You
it was
know,
very fast.
And you have 40 people in a religious sanctuary filming a movie, an
That
entire
literally
film.
learned their lines an hour before, if that.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was very little time. Even
With
if it
one
was
camera guy.
one camera guy, and even if they were talking about a matter of days, some of the scenes were quite bulky, and it's a lot to remember. So they were all very quick studies, and some of the scenes were improvised. There was that one scene with the young boy and the young girl where he shows her that trick and throws the cup, and that was improvised.
He's trying to show off for the little girl. And
Yeah. Yeah, those two kids improvised that, and they had no preparation time outside of we want to conclude this portion of the story because he's at the table telling his sister that the girl he likes is there, and we didn't have a conclusion to it. So I pulled the two actors aside. That's Andrew Sears and Addison McGarry, or McGarry. I don't know how she says her last name, so it's one of those two. And I asked them how they felt about improvising a scene. Now, they're both young. I think that they're 10 or 11, or they're both 10 or they're both 11 or something like that. And they were agreeable to it, and they gave it a shot, and right away they had information to offer. So I think that everyone who worked on this should be very proud of what they've accomplished.
Well, I think it's a lesson, like you said, because a lot of these parts weren't necessarily complete.
Correct.
Some of this was just improv.
Correct.
On the fly.
Yeah.
And so for some of these actors, that's like their first taste of like improv on the fly in front of a camera.
It could be, yeah.
Not in an acting class.
Sure.
Like just sit here and let's just wing it. Let's just
Yeah.
put it on camera. Let's roll and let's.
Sure, I could say for sure.
have fun with it.
Yeah, I would say probably for those two actors, it was probably was the first time.
It's
that
scary.
Yeah, it can be. I think kids are more bold with things like that than adults are because they haven't learned to overthink yet in most cases. But the two adults in the get some mic pop. But the two adults who did the lawyer scene with that transaction to get the Skeeter Jr., the grandpa kind of guy, into getting a portion of the company, that was 100% improvised. And,
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite. Those are my favorite characters.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of starts out with, who are you? And it's like, well, I'm married to the ex-wife.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're entitled to a percentage of the company.
Yeah.
And then, like, as the film goes on, you have this dialogue that keeps growing and growing. And the other guy's not an attorney.
Right.
But it's like, in the end, he's going to agree to represent
Right.
the new husband. And it's just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. They had some sort of idea of who their characters were, based on more mic pop, based on the script that they were given. Now, the script that they were given, that was written by Karen Clark, who I believe that's the first script that she has written, and she did a great job. It just got very difficult to find an isolated spot for those two because there was a lot of ping-ponging back and forth between anywhere from 4 to 6 different characters. So to get them on camera, we just said take the essence of these characters and make a scene out of it. So they based their scene off of that, which again, off the cuff and on the fly. Where do I fit into this? And they made it work. And also, it was done in one take. That was not shot more than once. And then Cameron edited it all together and found out how to space that throughout the movie.
That dialogue.
Yeah.
See, we don't have anything, like, we're not really scripted, so I'm not sure how good I would be at actually dealing with a script. I can barely read to begin with, so I think.
Like Sergio and I improv like 90% of the time.
Yeah. So when it's really good, remember that we improv it. When it sucks, remember that we improv it. Just remember that. I have my good days. I have my bad days. I have more bad days than good days. So
What are some things you learned throughout this whole process that'll, stick with you in the future?
Yeah, it's always learning. I sent them all an email that night thanking them for their time, and I joked that next year we'll do this on Christmas Eve, the same format.
All right.
And thankfully they all laughed. But
like in Scrooged,
yeah,
like
yeah.
they did Charles Dickens' A Christmas Story live on TV.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
They thankfully were insightful enough to know that I was not serious about
I
that.
think you should do it. No, I think you should Facebook Live it next year
I will talk
and
to them.
do a live film.
Okay, I'll talk to them about that, and if they know what the stakes are, maybe they'll agree. I know that certain people won't like it, but we can give it a shot. But what I learned was number one, how to if we were to do this again, we didn't have a call sheet, and we didn't have a call sheet because we weren't very organized. We were only as organized as here's the location, and here's the time to get there. So if we had taken an hour to at least attempt how we're going to outline the shoot and have people in a more palatable fashion come, because it did get to a point for me where I would look around the room and see people just sitting around, not sulking or anything like that, but wondering when they're going to go, when is their scene up. And there were a couple times that one of the actors' moms asked how soon before my kid goes. And I said, well, we should be able to get her in next. And then all of a sudden, a whole other conundrum came up, and okay, well, if you have to go now, and if so and so is not here, and which did happen, we did have some no-shows. Just guaranteeing nothing. Not saying that you're next, and she was very, very patient, and ultimately very grateful, and I'm grateful for that kind of patience. But just maybe don't do this again. That might be lesson number one.
They're over here shaking their heads. They're like
nodding in agreement. Yeah.
Please, no.
And number two, from a pre-production standpoint, take the time to read over the scripts, because I didn't know how the other scripts were structured, and there was nothing wrong with them. It's just that trying to find in some of them the isolated points where we can separate some actors and say, this scene is very important to you or to your character, and we can just shoot this. So if I had spoken with some of the writers and said, let's just kind of take these long scenes that you have that are 10 pages long and just break them down a little bit so that we have particular focus on 2 or 3 characters opposed to having focus on 6 at one time. So that is another thing. There's a lot to learn for me, and I think for everybody at large. But again, it's trial and error, and it takes a nap to, I could have done that. And again, for me, the most wrenching thing was that some people had to leave early and didn't appear in anything at all.
So you're in the home stretch now. You're percentage-wise, how complete are we?
Well,
What would you, how?
I would say 80.
Okay.
In fairness.
So you've done 80% of this.
Yeah.
And it started exactly
1 week ago.
1 month ago. The 22nd,
Oh, yeah,
the 22nd
right, yes,
of
yes,
November.
yes. Yeah.
And it's now the 22nd of December.
Yeah.
So when you started this on November 22nd, what were your thoughts?
Idealistic.
Okay.
A little bit practical, but still idealistic. I figured that if we shot on the 14th at the latest, taking only my schedule into account, we can take the week between the 14th and the 21st, get all the editing done, and have it ready for release on the 21st. But again, I was only considering my schedule. And as it turned out, there was going to be a couple of day delay between getting the footage from the director of photography to the editor. Again, that's another thing is get other people's schedule and see how it's going to work out.
So a month later, 30 days later, looking back, what are you most proud of?
The whole process. Knowing how amenable everybody was to hopping on board without any concerns, at least not externally. And just everyone saying we're going to do this and not questioning anything. There were a few questions here and there, but nothing off-putting. There were some questions about who is my character, and which the answer was, I don't know.
Make him your own. Make him your own.
So there were questions like that, but everyone went into this unguarded, and in that respect, I couldn't ask for in any respect, I couldn't ask for more, because there was full trust on every side, and now with that, we do very much owe it to them to make sure that they get what they came to do. Again, there were people who were waiting due to scheduling on our part, in excess of 12 hours to even do their scene. So that's
Wow.
one of the things. Yeah, and it's incredibly patient to wait that long, and then not only to wait that long, but then to go and do it with the kind of command that they had. And we didn't get a whole lot of more than 2 takes of anything. We got different angles for sure, but in terms of getting what we needed and moving on, that's what our agenda became. And we didn't have to really direct anybody. They really understood what their character was supposed to do, and they did it, and that was it. So
That probably made your job a whole lot easier.
Oh, it does, yeah. They came very well prepared. It was very impressive.
No divas.
No divas, absolutely not.
Okay, she wouldn't have been allowed then.
I would have been the diva. Be like, Jason, where's my trailer?
We could have managed you. We could
12 hours, I need my trailer.
You know, I actually think that we may have been able to get you a trailer.
Oh, really?
Possibly, yeah. I think there might have been one in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
All right, there you go.
Sitting on, like, cinder blocks and...
There you go.
Actually, one of the things that Scott, one of the homeowners and the church owner said that if you ask for anything in this house, you might get 2 of them. So there were times that we needed a plug adapter to go from the 2-prong to the 3-prong, and I was actually telling Savannah, where's the we might have to go to Walmart to get these, and then Tommy and Scott collectively, Tommy, Diane, and Scott. Hold on a second. Don't look for Walmart. Well, there's some around somewhere, and they found probably about 4 of them.
Wow.
So we could have gotten you a trailer, I think.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
I
you're very welcome.
appreciate
So
that.
next year, come on down and
Okay.
we'll get you trailers.
All right.
I'll be in another movie.
Oh,
That's in one.
yeah,
take
she's
it.
been in 1.
Yeah.
So I've been in 1. I didn't have a role, but I was in 1.
I
so,
know.
So see, now look, we're seasoned pros.
Okay, we'll have you down next time. You can get speaking parts and everything.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to read.
You can learn, and
I
then
have a year.
All right, so looking at the schedule, tomorrow you're going to shoot your final scenes.
Yeah.
And then your editor is going to work his magic.
Yeah.
Hopefully get this out 24th or the 25th.
Yeah.
It says public release.
Correct.
Where will this be released? Is this going to be on your website?
It'll be on YouTube.
It'll be on YouTube.
YouTube, I think, is the safest way to go. There's a lot of benefits to YouTube, and I think that some of them are very obvious. Others may not be so obvious. Everyone who has an internet connection has YouTube. There's no additional, if we're not counting YouTube Red or YouTube TV or anything like that, there's no subscription fee. It's just your base internet service provider price. So it's free for us to upload it to that. And for anyone who wants to roll the dice on watching anything, including this movie, they can just play it for nothing. And if they like it within 3 seconds, they can keep watching. And if they say 3 seconds, this is terrible, I'm hitting the Xbox. Not the Xbox. I'm hitting
Give
the,
it at least like 7 seconds.
Yeah, give it at least
Yeah.
7 seconds. That's very fair. Give it 25 in the interest of Christmas.
Exactly. Like,
But if they start watching it and decide that it's not for them, there's no loss. So YouTube again is a ubiquitously beneficial site. So that's the safest place for us to go.
What's the name of your YouTube page?
That is Film Harbor, which Savannah will set up. We have it, and it's actually a company that we all just structured in October.
I think Savannah's like, I literally just learned about this just now.
No, she knows about
I thought
it.
Savannah's like, she's like on her phone and
Yeah,
she's
she
like,
knows
hold on,
that.
let me set
Just like this movie. I just learned about this.
Right. She has emails to prove how proud she is to be a part of this. So she's known about it for as long as we all have. But it's going to be one of those sites where any one of us who has any intellectual property that we want to put on there, we'll be able to have that as the main go-to. Yeah, and that's where this is going to go as well.
I'm thinking Law and Disorder needs to go on Film Harbor. I'm thinking,
Sure.
I'm thinking Law and Disorder needs to be there.
I think we do.
can certainly discuss that. And
I just put him on the spot right now.
No, again, this is all about opportunity. Whatever we can do to foster all of this, whatever communal thing that can be done to benefit everybody, we're certainly interested in at least listening.
I never said we had good talent. I just said we had talent.
Well, I'm watching you right now. I'm impressed.
There you go. See, I did this. I told you I do this. I told her like 3 years ago almost, didn't I?
I somewhat believed you.
I told her I'd put her
I'm
on.
still
I'd
here.
put her in a film when I first met her. She never believed me.
Well, I'm actually digressing slightly. I'm reading a book on trust right now, and one of the first things about trust is to be humble. And one of the things that they repeat throughout is shields down, information comes in. So if you say you can do something, go ahead and do it. And
Why not?
Don't be judgmental about it. So
See, don't judge me.
yeah.
Don't judge
I
me.
don't actually judge him. I'm kidding around.
Not in my face. She doesn't.
I don't.
Okay. we'll
I
see.
do think you spoil your kid, but
Okay. Hey, that's judging. That's judging.
I can't judge. I don't have a kid.
Just judge me. Okay. Didn't say anything about liars. You're okay. You're
Okay.
good. So, is anybody else from this film want to come in here? I'm staring at somebody right now. You gonna come on over here?
Yeah.
Come on, Savannah.
Are we gonna trade?
I think we're gonna trade, or y'all can like share the mic.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Y'all can like Sonny and share it.
Yeah, we can Sonny and share it. Do you have another headphone?
I
or-
could probably. I could probably get her another set of
Okay,
headphones.
let's get our headphones. We're not sharing your chair. They'll get your own.
Here, let's just roll this thing.
Like scoot over.
This is like the one part I'm not supposed to ever get out of
We're
the
all
chair.
BFFs.
Right.
Yes.
We're all BFFs. Welcome,
Alright,
welcome.
So the audience gets to watch a live setup. That's pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You might not want to throw it to her. She has no coordination. If you want broken headphones, throw it to her.
He's coming. He's got a big bag of stuff over there he has to dig through. He's got like a man purse. For those of you who don't know and don't see the stuff behind the scenes, maybe I'll film it one day, but Sergio's always carrying around like a big man bag. Actually, no, one's a gym bag, but one's like actually a man bag. It's
Yeah.
like black leather with a buckle.
Is it a satchel?
It's
Is it Coach?
its name brand is Coach. I wouldn't
Okay.
call it a satchel because a satchel's too respectable. This is like a man purse. And I'm pretty sure he keeps his deodorant in there and like his toothbrush and his
I actually left my razor at the set, I think. I wasn't able to find it, so I haven't shaved in a week.
Well, Sergio hasn't shaved in like a month. I mean, look
Yeah.
at his face.
Yeah.
But I do have to admit, your beard is very like even
Yeah.
and like fully like
It's
volumized and
It's impressive.
no
Yeah.
patches anywhere. It's like you've grown a beard before.
I condition it.
He
Oh.
conditions.
Is that the trick?
Do you have like a comb?
I brush it. I have a brush.
Okay.
Brushes it.
Yeah.
Gotta trim her up sometimes, right? You trim her, keep her trimmed.
I haven't trimmed it in. I'm pretty loud. Things while here. I haven't trimmed it in like a month.
Really?
I haven't put a razor or anything to it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, if I do that, and I've done it, it comes in all patchy. So.
So you said yours is like a week's worth?
A week, yeah.
A week? Okay.
Yeah. To the day, because I shaved on Saturday, and we actually slept there on Friday night because it was about an hour and change from our house. We also had to do setup. We set up all the decorations. The Christmas tree was up.
So can you hear us, Savannah?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything.
You gotta turn up her headphones.
The Christmas tree was up, but we put the lights up. We decorated the tree.
Now we're good. Louder?
Yeah, it's good.
Do I need to go louder?
It can go a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little louder. A little louder. There you go.
Yeah.
Is that good?
A little
Okay,
bit
so
for you.
yeah, we're just recording this thing. We're just winging it here. For those of you just now watching, we are Law and Disorder. We are coming at you from the local game store in Richardson, Texas. There's like gamer stuff going on in the background. And then there's us. So we're looking at them, and they're looking at us, and we're all just like, it's like a standoff.
They seem very nice.
They are. You know, sometimes they'll get a chuckle out of what we talk about.
They're actually quite polite also, because, ma'am, can you please get me the deck of cards?
I know somebody called you a ma'am.
I mean, it was fine. I didn't feel old.
I know, but somebody referred to you as like a lady.
Well, it's also possible they were talking to me.
Oh, okay. Well, quite possibly. Now, Savannah, tell us about your role here, because you've been working with Jason for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
What is your title, and then what is your role? Because sometimes titles don't match up.
Right. So Cameron Hazelwood had he made the script, and it was "You'll Be Sorry." So my character's name was Ottilie, and she and her friend Brogan decided to be going to this Christmas party, and she has this idea to help her friend win over this girl that he's been pawning over. And I bring in my sister's kid, which, okay, so Ambry was amazing. She was probably the most amazing character. She did amazing. And then there were some parts of the script that we had to skip. Like we had flown, or he flew himself down here, Krishna, and he was going to be the character that I was.
Oh, the one that you were going to try and hook up with.
Yeah, the one that I'm always looking at, and I'm like,
excuse
me.
Yeah, the one where you're
lady."
referring to that you blew him off to help your buddy out.
Yes.
To help him
yes.
get the
So,
girl. Okay.
Unfortunately, we weren't able to do those scenes.
You were in a church. You probably shouldn't have, anyways.
Well, there was a scene in the bathroom that we were going to do, so technically it wasn't in the church, but it was a very fun scene because we were practicing it before. Unfortunately, Krishna wasn't able to be in the movie because we didn't get him on camera. I should have got up at 4 a.m. to do the scene, but...
We did actually wake them up, and I went to all means necessary to wake Krishna up and ask him if he wanted to do his scene, and he immediately said yeah. Then what happened? Did he get tired and decide not to?
That was me, I think.
Oh,
He
okay.
probably would have done it, but I was like, well, yeah, it's my fault that Krishna wasn't in the movie, and I'm kicking myself. But I've been talking to him about it, and he's like, "Don't be sad, Savannah. I enjoyed myself," and so that was pretty interesting. But I wanted to give like a little shout out to him because he wasn't able to be in the movie.
He is a human Baby Yoda.
What?
He looks like Baby Yoda, and we have pictures to prove
This
it.
guy sounds amazing.
He is amazing. He's a legend. I'll let Savannah fill you in on that.
I want to have you seen Baby Yoda yet?
You mean the Mandalorian?
The Mandalorian.
The Mandarin?
The Mandarin oranges.
The Mandalorian. No, so you don't know about Baby Yoda yet.
No.
And you probably haven't even seen
I don't have Disney
Have
Plus.
you been on the internet?
you probably haven't even seen Star Wars yet, have you? The new one.
I haven't seen the new one. No, it just
See?
came out
So
2
I've
days
seen
ago.
it. I've seen it 3 times already.
Sergio is such a nerd, you guys.
Only twice.
That's
Still.
okay. It's okay.
So, but Savannah, in general, you do a lot with Jason, correct?
Yes, I do. I've been doing production coordinating as well as producing stuff with him and just pretty much doing his dirty work, as he likes to call it. That's what he said yesterday. I'll have you do my dirty work.
So I wanted to ask you guys. I know you're still finishing this up. Are there already plans in the making for your next project, or have you thought about it? Like, can you kind of give us a hint of what might be coming up in the near future?
Sure. Well, one of the things that we really initially were trying to accomplish was right now there are a half dozen sitcom franchises that are in existence in terms of being on paper and being cast. So we are looking to. We have a building in Blue Ridge, Texas that's approximately 6,000 square feet. It might be 5,800 or something like that, but it's very close to 6,000. And if it's not 6,000, it can be made into that very easily. We will be refurbishing that in early 2020. We should be ready to have it functional in by March or April, and at that point we will be filming our sitcoms. And,
Nice.
Yeah, that'll be really good for the actors because for those who were there yesterday, I told them that their experience last week is atypical. We don't typically have 18-hour, 40-person sets, 40 actor sets. Never mind people. There was probably about 60 people. But the sitcoms will be 3 cameras, so it'll be a lot more expedient in terms of time. So we're talking about 6 to 8 hour days opposed to 14 to 16 to 18 hour days. And they'll be edited pretty quickly, then dumped. So that's one of the immediate things that we'll be having ready to do. And also we have a short movie that Cruz Dominich shot back in October that's due out pretty soon. And we did a short movie in November that's due out pretty soon. And we're going to aim, and this was our movie for December. So there very well may be another short movie in January, then February, and moving forward. So
What?
Yeah.
Hold on, we might have one in January and February.
we want to do at least one per month.
Okay, if
Yeah.
you need, you
Yeah.
if you need
Yeah.
a really cute Hispanic guy and a
Yeah.
all right looking Caucasian
Well,
girl that uses extensions,
Sure,
yeah,
sure. I mean, there might be a little bit of difficulty with that because I do have a rule: I don't cast anyone better looking than me.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, you
and
know.
that's male or female.
I mean, I can die in the role. It's okay.
If you can be on camera, I can't have anyone who looks as good or better than
Okay,
me.
you can put I could be like a prisoner with a bag over my
Put
head.
some like dark circles
Yeah.
under his eyes and give him a bad haircut,
Yeah.
some baggy clothes.
I'll even shave. I'll even shave for this role.
I think you'll be okay.
I'll even shave for the role. I'll even make myself look normal.
Oh, you look normal now. You look great.
You know, so
I can't grow a beard like that.
no, it's a talent. I don't know if it's a good talent, but it's talent. So, well, man, we got anything else? We have anything else to do here?
Whatever questions you have, I have the time. It's up to What are we satisfied?
I think we're satisfied.
Okay,
I
cool.
mean, we are satisfied.
Great.
I thank you first of all for being a part of this with
Thank you
us.
for having me. This is a long time coming.
Yeah, me
yeah.
and Jason have been going round and round for about 6 months
Yeah,
now.
about 6 months. Yeah.
And I'm like the fungus that doesn't go away from underneath your toes. I just you think I'm gone, and then
Yeah.
I pop out like with a random text or a random email.
Yeah, I remember several occasions where I would get emails from Sergio, and I would say Jason at Sergio had emailed us again, and then we'd say we'd get back to you, and then that was months.
That's like that's the
Months later.
inner salesman in me, because that's what I do for a living.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a couple of months. Are you still looking to buy something? Hey, it's been 6 years. You still looking?
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is your number anymore. If you're out there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Anytime that you want us back, we have enough product that we can talk about.
We would love to, yeah.
Certainly, yeah. So anytime that you want to have this, and we can schedule actors who are interested, or you can talk with either me or Savannah. So whatever other opportunity comes up, we're certainly ready and willing.
Yes, I'm very excited. I'm like I said, we knew going into this that it was going to be a really, really bam, 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 quick project.
Right.
And I'm excited to see, I'm excited to see what this would look like, a year from now.
Sure.
When you've actually had the time to play it out the way it's supposed to. And that's still in the plans, correct?
It is. We would like to. When Cameron and I were. He was editing. I don't want to take anything away from that, but I was in the room watching him edit. And I might have had 2 or 3 bits of input in terms of saying, can we put this scene here or whatever. That's as far as my editing goes. I hate editing. We, without saying a word to each other, we agreed that there's a good movie in here. It does need structure, no question. So we're going to be refining the script, all the storylines that are involved. And we are aiming to have an actual movie with a full storyline, beginning, middle, and end, completed by August, so that we can then at least have principal photography completed by August, and then we can spend the next X amount of time editing to have it released, hopefully around Halloween, or at least be ready to release it by Halloween. So that's the goal.
2020 is a big year because you have that.
Yeah.
You have this project here. hopefully come to fruition completely.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have your studio in Blue Ridge.
Correct.
And your sitcoms.
Yep.
And everything else that you're working on, all these films, all these little projects that you do on a continuous basis.
Correct.
So, yeah, and from what you've told me in the past, anybody who wants to learn to be an actor is welcome to reach out to you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. We are in the interest of facilitating and fostering anyone who wants to be in this business.
Okay.
And we're not taking money. We would much rather have the reward for everybody involved be what they have to offer in product rather than spend hand over fist for classes. And I don't do exclusivity, so if they're coming to our classes and taking classes from Joe Smith or Jane Smith or whatever, they can continue to do that. We're not looking to hurt anybody's business, but we do want to, the best way to get more work is to do work, and that's where we come in. We have product, and we need to cast that product. So rather than have actors in particular, because they are very, very hungry, generally speaking, and they typically start their careers out in debt because they spent X amount of dollars on classes and so on. But they have a lot to offer, the actors do, and we want to be able to offer them something as well. Get them on screen, get them in something that everybody could watch, help build their reel, help build their publicity, and the reward for us is we get product out of it. So it's a mutually beneficial situation.
So how can they reach out to you? How can they communicate with you guys if they want more information?
Sure. They can email me at Jason, Jason, at bkefilms.com. That's Blue Knight Entertainment Films.com. Or my phone number is 972-979-4998.
He gave the real phone number out,
no,
yo. I know that's the real number.
That is the real number. When in doubt, hit 9. You'll probably be okay.
He's going to start getting all these weird phone calls.
Yeah, that's all right.
Send it over to her.
Also you can contact Savannah, which she will now share her information.
All right, Savannah, give the real number, not the one
So-
you give to the guys at the bar, like the real
No.
number.
I'm not going to give the number, but
I know.
I'll give you the email. It's Savannah, SAVANNAH, BKE Films @gmail.com. And so I do most of the email corresponding. It takes a little bit longer to reach Jason, of course, but we'll...
So, best advice, just email Savannah,
Yes,
not Jason.
best
Okay. So in editing, we need to
advice.
edit just remove the
Yeah.
Jason part.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, let's just take it out.
And if you call me, the phone call may never end. So
Yeah.
you've been cautioned.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for coming in here.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here. It's like I said, it was a really exciting project. The film is called Corporate Christmas. It's going to be out on YouTube on Christmas-ish,
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, hopefully no later than Christmas Day.
Okay, 2019, by the way. So,
As soon as it's out, too, we'll share the link on our Facebook page. So for those of you who follow us on Facebook, you can find it there. View it
Yeah.
on YouTube.
we'll link it to all of our stuff. So, let's thank the sponsors, the local game store in Richardson, Texas, East Texas Championship Wrestling, Young Ideas Dish Network, and Ace Remodeling. On behalf of them, myself, Miss Caitlin,
Hey.
Jason, and Savannah, we're Law and Disorder. We'll holler at you guys next time.
Bye.
Ladies.
Thank you, guys.